Yeah, certainly felt a connection between Brighton and their fans this evening. And when you look at that Premier League table, you can see why. This club has shown so much progress in recent years, gradual progress. Is Europe... We're not going to hear Hinchelwood or Hertzler say it. They're not going to say it. They're saying to take it a game at a time. You're not playing anymore. You can say it. Can they start believing? Can they start dreaming?
Yeah, without doubt, they're in the conversation. But when you just look below them, there's like 3 or 4 teams that can overtake them with a win. So, like, at the moment, if you pause it now, it's brilliant. But there's, I think it's, Brentford, Bournemouth, Everton have all got a game in hand and can go equal or above them. So they're very much in that conversation. And I think when you reflect on kind of, 6 weeks ago, where they've got to, where they were. He's done an incredible job. I think when he talks about consistency, 90 minutes, they've lacked that at times over the years, Brighton, as a team. And I think his team probably managed games in the Premier League as good as any Brighton team I've seen.
Hinchelwood, in his interview, Glenn, deflected from the fact that when he was asked, could you sense nervousness early on? And he was keen to, understandably, look at the intensity that Brighton started the game with. But from a Chelsea point of view, just how worrying was it? The way they started, the way they played in the middle and the way they finished the game?
From the first minute to the last minute, they had a little spell for 5 minutes when they changed the shape in the second half when they come out, but they didn't really pepper. The goalkeeper didn't have to make a save for Brighton.
No shots on target.
No shots on target. I think that sums it all up. But inside of all that, they've conceded 3 goals again, but there was no pressing of the ball. There was no desire to win the ball back collectively. They looked like a team that had their mind.
In the second half, they might change things around. Chelsea changed the formation. They obviously made a couple of substitutions. But when you look at this, how damning is that? Yeah, hugely damning. And it tells the story of where Chelsea are at the moment. Really vulnerable, low on confidence. This is the one. This is the one for me. The distance covered. You know, I think it's been the story of their season. No, but like we said there, when times are tough, when your back's against the wall, you need to come out. That work ethic, it has to be there. It's the only way it gets you out of it. You know, then you start building confidence and a little bit of momentum. But we can see there you can take away, you can take out Cole Palmer, Esteval and João Pedro. You know, 2 of them are your top goal scorers in the Premier League, and that's going to hurt. You know, your expected goals and going forward, but. You know, as a team and you're working hard, that's damaging there for me in my eyes. Listen, Steve, it's not just the result tonight, was it? It was the performance as well that went with it. I mean, you're saying about no goals, you're not going to score no goals when you have 0 shots on target. Yeah. The possession, the distance, you know, it shows that the Brighton players was covering more distance, running a lot harder today. Like I said, they were second to everything tonight. I was excited before the game in terms of a shift of formation because I said in recent weeks it's not really been working. I thought it was even worse. I thought that they couldn't play that system. The back 3, the back 5 just wasn't working. They started the second half, first 5-10, looked a bit more solid. Too easy to play against in terms of the goals they're conceding is far too easy. And Brighton was just so comfortable today. I bet they couldn't believe how easy and comfortable it was tonight. Yeah. There's a lot of red on that page.
There is.
But also, when you look here at their last 5, 114 years it's been since Chelsea have lost 5 in a row without scoring. It's really difficult to see how they're going to be able to pick up the momentum when they're on this kind of run. Yes, and momentum is the key word there. I think, you know, there was certainly positives from the Manchester United game of last in terms of them creating chances. So when you're creating chances, you feel as though you're in the right direction. You know, these are the remaining fixtures coming up. I mean, the Leeds game, this semi-final, Leeds would have loved that fixture coming out because they looked at Manchester City and gone, maybe not. Southampton are probably expected to beat them. They come up against Chelsea. You know, they'll be watching that performance tonight going, we've got every chance of getting to an FA Cup final. And then after that, Forest fighting for survival. Liverpool have still got things to prove and play for. We know the position Spurs are in and Sunderland are also flying. I look at that, guys, and I'm thinking, I don't know where they could pick points up, especially with the sort of confidence that they're in at the moment.
But like you said, Leeds tonight are probably watching this thinking, we've got a wounded animal here. You know, we've got a chance in the semi-final, whereas Chelsea going into a semi-final against Leeds, no disrespect, with an opportunity to hit a final, they should be licking their lips, ready to go. But this is a bit of a wounded Chelsea squad at this moment in time. And you've been there, Steve, as well. Confidence and momentum is a big thing. Yeah. So going in tomorrow's training, all of a sudden, is not the same vibe as it is when you're on a good run or good off the back of a good result. So it's going to be a tough few days for the manager and for the squad to galvanise themselves and get themselves fired up for this semi-final because this, like I said, the FA Cup now is a strong word, a must, you know, to save the season in some ways. But but it needs to be a hell of a lot better than what it was tonight.
How does he turn things around now, Liam Rosina, after this performance?
It's going to be very difficult. You know, he's picking up, you can see there the body language them after. For me, at the moment, when I look at this Chelsea team, I don't see enough playing for now. I see a Chelsea team, and this is not all of them, and we would have been in dressing rooms as well when we see players like this. They're listening to all the noise from outside, you know, protests against the board, relationships between the fans and the team, relationship between the fans and the board. They're waiting for a change to happen now, whether that's going to be with the manager or a change of ownership. It seems though players are waiting for a change. They're waiting for a change. They're waiting for next season. Well, make a change now. You know, I don't mean the manager. I mean as a player. Step up. You make the change. You know, be bold enough to go. Look, the leadership group, whoever many there are, galvanise. Shut the dressing room door. You know, have an in-house council, have an in-house meeting, and go. Listen. The only people that can get out of this are us. That's what the fans want to see. That's what they want to see. As a Chelsea fan myself, I look at the season and I'm going absolutely miles off where they want to be in the project that what Chelsea have got.
But this is a different talking point as well, because what you've just said there is correct, and also that sometimes in difficult moments and difficult runs you rely on experience. You rely on, which again has been called for in this young Chelsea squad, don't get me wrong. The bulk of this squad is very exciting, very young, and ready to obviously build for the future. But alongside that, you sprinkle in some experience, because in these tough moments, it's not just about experience on the pitch, it's about experience off the pitch. Like what Steve just said, it's about experience, like how's Liam going to turn this around? He'll have his ideas, but also the players need to get together. And in certain times when I've been at the club, there would be a meeting in the changing room where the manager's not even involved. There would be players getting told, there would be truths being told in their meetings, and the standards driven in the training sessions to turn this back around. And that comes with experience, which I think is lacking in this Chelsea squad. I heard the owner speak, obviously, and he touched upon maybe the philosophy changes slightly. And I do think that would be a big help. We've even had it in the past where, you know, the leadership group will get called in with the manager. Listen, what's going on? What's happening? What's the feeling in the group? This player's not pulling his weight. This player's not pulling his weight, which would be down to the squad and down to us to get into them a little bit in training and to make sure they step up to the level. But them conversations would be had, and also I feel would help the manager in these times. Unfortunately, at the moment, because of the young squad, you know, there's a handful of players you might be able to rely on in that sense. Enzo, Reece, players like that. But there just isn't enough at the moment to turn it around. And a lot of these young players are experiencing this for the first time, the noise, the pressure. And I feel like that's what we saw tonight. When I say, like, a fragile Chelsea team, is I think because of that. Even top players struggle with confidence at times. But experienced players have been through so many scenarios, so many things in the game, they can help to get yourselves out of this. With a young squad, sometimes it's a bit tricky.
And they do have a very young squad. When you're looking at this table as well, Steve, is sixth now really their only hope? Because as we mentioned before, Aston Villa, if they win the Europa League but they finish fifth, it could go down to sixth and then into the Champions League. Yeah,
I mean, it's a huge gap between, you look at 48 points, 55, a 7 point there. You look, and again, it's momentum. When you're in that dressing room and you're looking at games and you're going, is that 3 points, is that a draw? You know, momentum is absolutely key. For them to gain 7 points, Liverpool to lose a few games as well, it's a huge ask at the moment for Chelsea. I think at the moment, the way that the situation that they're in, I think sixth place would be the one that they're going to be having to focus on.
OK, well, Brighton very much in this race then, aren't they, for European qualification? Let's hear now from two of the goal scorers tonight, Ferdy Kadioglu and Danny Welbeck, are chatting with Johnny Phillips.
Ferdy, that was a fantastic win, a fantastic performance. Was that the level now? Is it that the best level you've set so far this season?
Probably, yeah. The last weeks we were in a good flow. We had a difficult period, but after that, yeah, we're doing very well. And I think today we didn't let them breathe. Amazing game from everyone, every player, and yeah, we have to continue like this because we have some goals this season.
It's a great way of saying it, not letting...
There was no pattern of play. It was individuals sort of really, I felt, they had their minds at the weekend. These are going for the Champions League still. They've got everything to play for. They're in a dreadful run. They never showed any character whatsoever. They've lost game after game after game. At least you go out with a bit of pride as a professional and you play and you make it difficult for the opponents. Brighton were excellent tonight, and I think, again, as I said, if they put different coloured shirts on them and say they're Man United or whoever, you go, what a team they are. What a good side, and we don't give that enough credit.
476 minutes without a goal for Chelsea, as we saw just then. And those full-time scenes, we were almost in disbelief in the studio watching them, Glenn. It was almost like they couldn't believe the performance that they'd just put in, kind of standing, watching the fans, waiting for something back. I don't know what it was.
Well, it's almost like an apologetic look, wasn't it? But when you mention those minutes, that's 19 years. Since they last did that, and there will be huge concern about Chelsea. We've seen how much they chop and change managers in recent years through very little. So I think it will be a concern at the moment. The output of this team, because we all know it's better, it's got much more potential in it and quality in it than it's showing. Granted, João Pedro and Cole Palmer weren't there today, so you've got to give them a little bit of leeway, but it is a concern just in their approach, their desire to get back into their game and the intensity to work for the badge.
Is it also a concern, Glenn, the fact that there were, I know they lost at the weekend against Manchester United, but there were some green shoots of positivity, some signs that maybe certain things were working a bit better, but maybe it's a lack of end product, whereas tonight it sounds like you haven't seen a single thing.
I didn't see anything there. I didn't see a character, a personality in the team. I didn't see any creativity. I never saw a team working together defensively and with the ball. They looked as if they were set up in a way, and within a minute of us looking at the game, they were lopsided. Their shape, they said we played three at the back and the fullbacks didn't know whether to push on. Cucurella had two players all the time. There was a get-out ball for Brighton every single time a midfield player had it. There was